Oh, do you guys think we should have like standard? Like we need to be in the same place every time. Welcome to On the Bench. I'm your host for this episode, Brendan Sonnones. If you're watching, this is going to be the new setup. Chris to the top left, Zach to the top right, me in the bottom. It's the Brady Bunch of OTB. A shout out to our sponsors before we get going. First off, Chattanooga Whiskey. It is cold in Tallahassee. I think it's cold throughout the entire country pretty much at this point.
Dude, it's 33 degrees in Orlando.
We were supposed to have a hard freeze, but I think our little new orange tree made it last night, so that's a good thing. If you need to get warmed up though, and you're not an orange tree because they can't really drink alcohol, but people can. You know what I would suggest, fellas?
Chattanooga whiskey.
Yeah, of course. And really, like when I think about this time of year, it gets colder and more holiday-ish. Like the 111 proof, that's probably going to be your go-to, something to warm you up a little bit and get a lot of robust flavors there and will hold up well with the cold. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. So Chattanooga whiskey, God knows we need it this season. After you've had a little bit of Chattanooga whiskey, get a little frisky, feel like, hey, I want to sell my home. Who would you call?
The Turner Group.
The Turner Group. Colin, Amy Turner do an awesome job in the home buying, home selling market. They're in Central Florida, but they can help you out throughout the state of Florida. Tallahassee is one area where their expertise resides. Zach knows that personally. So Colin, Amy Turner Group, really good people. If you want to get in touch with them, you can follow them on Instagram. They're really active there, and it's very explanatory. Damn, I almost had this. Sorry, Colin. Instagram's really good. Go there, learn about the home buying process, entertaining there as well. Or you can reach out to me, PM, DM, whatever, M, and I will have you guys interact with one another. All right, so Chris, Buyer Sonnones, sponsored by
the Turner Group.
FSU, if it chose to part ways with Mike Norvell, has money to do so.
Buy.
All right, let's get into it. Chris had an intel piece that I thought was really well researched and informative, very informative, actually. Probably the best thing that's been out there at this point on what's happening over at Noles247.com. Don't want to spoil too much of it for our paid customers, but what's the one takeaway you got from your research, your calls, your networking that you've done, Chris, and what you put out in the article? If you could just guide people to one overarching thing that seems instructive.
That public inaction by the leadership of FSU does not mean there is no action behind the scenes.
Sorry, I changed the way it looks now. I have Zach in the top left corner now.
Dude.
What?
There's an effort to prepare for if a transition is made of a coaching staff. Not to say with certainty that they're going to do so, because I have not been told with certainty that they are going to do so. But if they do ultimately reach that point, they intend to be able to move quickly, do what they want to do, and do it in an efficient manner. The immediate question always is, why has he not been fired yet? I think they view as entering the market early as no real benefit, to be perfectly honest on that subject. Other than the short-term bump that you get with a win of your fans of, we got rid of that guy, you very quickly enter, well, who's the next guy? And that can get just as ugly and angry with the mob as the current situation. And I understand people probably won't love that, but there's a degree of that's certainly what it is. Like, you can't hire somebody who's sitting as a head coach somewhere else if they're still coaching until at least November 29th or so is when crunch time for that is. So, use VT, who FSU plays this week, for an example. They fire Brent Pry after 3 weeks of the season. A lot of people think they're going to hire James Franklin, who is currently unemployed. We're now, 7 weeks removed from them firing their coach. They have not hired their coach. Starts reaching a point of, is this a sloppy surge? Those kind of questions come up. So, you move on from one problem to create a new one by rushing into it. I think that is the viewpoint of administration.
What do you what's your viewpoint? Do you think that there is
I think so with firing a coach, I think there's an element of it reinforces to the players. I don't know how much this matters because I don't know how many of these players will be part of FSU's football program in 2026, but an element of it's your fault to a degree. Obviously it's the coach's fault, but it's also the player's fault. It's everybody's fault. Football is an organization. It's not an individual. It's not solely Mike Norvell. Obviously, he is the head honcho and the person at the top of the mountain. Damn, I used mountain. I knew a climate reference would end up in there. But, it's also on the players. And sometimes you get a bump from that because players realize that they play better. There's more effort put into it in a consistent manner. And that's something FSU certainly has lacked this season, is any level of consistency.
Do you guys think? So I understood the benefit to waiting, 3 weeks ago when the statement first came out, and you basically have cut that time in half, right?
Yeah, and there's natural changes that come with that, where the reasons you waited, which some of those that were given to me after Stanford was who are you going to name interim, how much you lose a team, how much you basically kind of like dismiss what you're trying to play for down the stretch. Those things diminish with each passing game. And obviously each loss certainly
So,
diminishes them.
so that's one thing I guess, in your reporting, and I mean, I understand it's accurate. It's one thing with the logic that you relayed that I would push back on that doesn't make a ton of sense to me still. Now, if like the idea that the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, would get messy with the coaching, like, I mean, is that what's going to happen? I don't know. And I think there's also an aspect to you can back channel, you can talk to agents.
And I
Doesn't
think that's
doesn't
happening.
I that's important. So Chris said, just in case, because we were talking at the same time, he thinks that's happening. I agree. I think that's happening as well. I know that's happening. Uh, Whether that means something ultimately happens is TBD, because I think we're living on these two timelines where there is a chance that Mike Norvell is kept. I think that's slim, and that becomes slimmer with every single loss, but it hasn't happened yet. And there's a better chance that a coach is hired. The fact that they're waiting does indicate that it's a sitting head coach that they would prefer. So that would eliminate, a handful of people, likely, not entirely, but like
I think the list starts with a sitting head coach. That doesn't necessarily mean others are not a potential hire, but I don't think James Franklin's sitting atop FSU's list. Just be matter of fact and direct with that, based on conversations
I've heard a couple names, and both of them, and it's names of like coaches, 6 people. Both of them are sitting head coaches, and so I don't know what the rest of that is, but we'll report that if it actually happens. But isn't there? I guess my question is like, isn't there an element of, if you're going to do it, doesn't it carry more weight, have more teeth if you're actually in the market? Or is that just a perception thing? Like,
I think
think it's just different.
I think their view is that that's more perception. I think based on multiple conversations and a lot of conversations specifically with one individual, I think that their view is more so that if you're going to get in the market, the more important thing is making the right hire, like winning the next step instead of winning this step. And I think they're comfortable with it. They understand they're taking bullets. They know the public perception of this. They know how unhappy people are, and they know what the product looks like. Like, none of that is foreign to them.
I just don't. So here's my issue with it. I don't see why they're valuing the games of this season so much in either direction.
Because either way, they're going to be played. I think it's a fair answer to that.
But so wouldn't that then, Chris? I think I side with Zach on this. I guess is how my gut reaction is to what you both just said. Wouldn't it then, if the games are going to be played, then why drag this on to the point where it can get messy and ugly?
Because firing him doesn't fix the games of this season. I think
my argument is that
keeping him has either.
Fair enough. I don't disagree with you guys. I fired him after Stanford.
It's your fault, Chris. Stop it.
I'm not trying to say me versus them or anything, but like, my opinion is he should have been fired after Stanford.
I think we should.
That performance was dreadful. We knew where this was going. We knew where we were. We know what it is. I was comfortable with that. I'm saying from a sense of reporting, talking to people, trying to understand their side of the aisle, and them being very like forthcoming with me about a lot of this stuff. I think their belief is that firing him doesn't just fix it in season, doesn't really change the dynamics of it. Other than like satisfying the hunger for a firing, I don't think they view it as having any
bloodlust.
Yeah, my argument would be like, and I know you're not taking their side or taking their position, Chris, but like, why do the games of the season matter so much? They went on a 4-game losing streak, and the remaining games are against like the worst Clemson team in 15 years, an interim head coach at Virginia Tech, NC State, who, whatever, it's NC State, and then an interim coach at Florida. Like, why do the games matter so much? I just, either way, if they go and win all these games, I can guarantee you the majority of the fan base is not on board with Mike Norvell staying at Florida State.
Doesn't that open it up though, Zach? Like that's why we have to entertain the possibility of him coming back. And that's why the game still may matter. Because this is a move I think they've signaled they don't want to make. Like this is not preferable,
sure.
Obviously, with the 50 plus.
Yeah, I don't think they're in love with making a move, and I think financials is a primary reason for that. And I discussed that in that piece about the financial part of it, that they are capable of doing it, but I certainly don't think they're in love with the idea of doing it. On your point, Zach, I think it's the little benchmarks along the way. Bowl eligibility is the one that really only remains at this point. It is what it is type thing, but like it would be a improvement in quotations over last season for them to get bowl eligible. But yes, I agree with you. Like I don't think anything that happens even prior to Clemson from that point on makes any real difference personally.
I think they're valuing games. They're valuing games too, like the actual results on the field too much, and not valuing their fans enough. Like their actions suggest like they're okay taking the punches or whatever from the fans, but like, dude, like these are the people that come and support you every weekend, and fund this program. And I know that yes, there's probably a loud minority of fans, that are on our message board, the most passionate, the fanatics, but like, you talk to most FSU fans and they're in the same boat when it comes to, what this has been. It's an embarrassment. And
it's a large amount of dissatisfaction.
Yeah. And to me, like their actions don't make a ton of sense to me, because it feels very much like, and we know this to be the fact, like they're hoping that Mike Norvell somehow proves to them that he's the guy and that they can stick with him, because it would make it a better financial decision, obviously, if it worked out for him. But like, I just don't understand how they're valuing the games on the field that much this season. And then why they're seemingly not taking into account all the other factors that go into whether a program's healthy, including, recruiting. Like that's an obvious one that's not improved enough, that we've talked about, at length. And, it's not like they're not bringing in some amazing class that's going to save things either.
Which I could argue, Zach, like this purgatory that they've placed the program in, that administration has placed the program in through inaction. If you retain Mike Norvell, this is damaging to the recruiting efforts, because you can't really sell like publicly.
He's a lame duck coach.
That's through we'll evaluate at the end of the season. And I guess this is maybe a little bit of a reach, but if you did part ways with him, you could start establishing through back channels like players you want to retain in the class and what potential deals. Like you could start doing that. And to my knowledge, like that hasn't happened. So I don't know. I just, the pros that I see with the information that we currently have do not outweigh the cons to the approach they've taken. And I think we all feel that way to various extents. It's not great podcasting for all of us to agree, but as we try to disagree, we disagree with Chris, and he's just the messenger on this, and he largely feels similarly as well. I did a story driving back from Clemson. As it got later in the day, it seemed less and less likely they were going to do something on that Sunday after the loss. I posed to you guys the question, like, does any program with like real championship aspirations or potential operate this way? And so then on, I guess it was Sunday evening after I took a nap and whatnot, I looked up every program that's won a national title in the BCS in college football playoff eras. There's 14 programs. None other than one, spoiler, this is the one that we're covering, has employed a coach who has had a winning percentage below 60% for over a span of 6 seasons. I shouldn't say 6 consecutive, so it's total. And Mike Norvell, if they went out the rest of the season, I think is at 55.5%. So what we're covering and watching is just, we talk about the standard. You could talk about Florida State being fully committed. It's what, at the end of the day, leads me to believe like they can't and they won't go through with this regardless of the results. But we have to entertain that as a possibility because it still exists. And one other thing on that point too, though that unprecedented was already in play at the start of the year. Like if they go into year 7 with a sub 60% winning percentage coach over 7 straight seasons, like shoulder shrug. I just, you've committed a lot of resources to this program. One of your biggest investments has gone belly up very quickly. You couldn't have projected that, but it's happened. And the vantage point I'm looking at it from right now doesn't feel like you had a worst case scenario plan in place.
Yeah, on the number of the unprecedented figure, for me, it's more like the trend of it. Like if that was a figure, but you felt like the program was going in a positive direction, then it is what it is. I don't feel like it's going in a positive direction.
It is. It's getting better. It was 2 games last year. It's 4 games this year. They're fixing it. Mike Norvell said this. I told myself I would not be snarky today.
Wow, you failed, buddy.
I made it 15, 16 minutes, I think. That's pretty good. Right?
No. What did you think of Mike Norvell guaranteeing championships in his recent press conference?
I want us to talk about the whole entire press conference. So, hey, real quick. FSU lost to Clemson 24-10. We just haven't talked about the game at all.
Yeah, offense felt incompetent. Did a great job of basically screwing themselves out of points repeatedly.
The Tommy Castellanos fumble in the red zone.
Pittman 4th down, penalties.
4th down drop, 5 drops total.
Late interception to put the knife through the heart type of situation.
And Tommy was trying to throw picks throughout the game too.
They find different ways to lose.
He plays so amped up. And that's like, so Mike Norvell was asked before we talk about the long answer, the 6-minute answer to Corey's question, which I was going to ask something very similar to that, and that was going to be my next question. But yeah, what are you going to do?
Whatever, that bald beauty beat you to it.
He did. His MVP this year is strong. I was gunning for it. What was I going to say? My ADHD.
We were talking about incompetency and finding new ways to lose at Clemson.
Oh, that's right. Mike Norvell was asked about struggles losing on the road the last 2 seasons, and he kind of pushed back about combining the two. I kind of like that in itself. I found a little repulsive because I get that every year's a new team, but it's a program, and it's a program issue. And I think therein lies this disconnect of like Mike builds it year to year. And that kind of, to me, signifies some of the bigger issues that we're kind of looking at here. Regardless, he talked about the different issues on the road and preparation and whatnot. I mean, they're a sub 500 road team with him as the head coach. Period. Point blank. Like stop.
They also lose a lot at home, so like yeah, they're worse on the road. Like they were zombies at Stanford, and I wasn't at Clemson, so I can't describe what I viewed on the sideline there. But I did not come away thinking on the tube that the energy of the team was.
It wasn't bad. It was fine. It was fine. I just don't. I don't play well on the road. And to your point, that the record is the record over the course of the 6-year lifespan of this regime too. But they haven't won a road game in more than 2 years.
Yeah, Pitt in the early November of 23 is the last ACC road win. Florida in 23 is the last road win as a whole.
Yeah, and you're going to probably be an underdog at NC State. It'll be probably a close line. I mean, it's our thoughts on the matter and the direction of the program are out there. Let's go into what Mike Norvell said. So it was a 6-minute answer. It was over 1,100 words. Basically, the question was pretty simple, guys. It was, what's the trajectory? What do you think of the trajectory of this program for 2026? And he's talked about believing in it before, and usually just talks about the work and whatnot, seeing how hard the guys work. And he went in on this one. This was a longer answer. And there's interesting things. Some of it, I'm going to be honest, like I know a lot of people roll their eyes out of all of it. Some of it I liked. Like I like that he's confident in himself. He has to believe in that too. But some of it I didn't care for as well. So I'm going to read some quotes here. You guys, let's react, okay? I've got an elite level of confidence for what's ahead for this program. I believe in it. I believe in the guys. When I look at our roster, I see guys, as I mentioned earlier, we've won a championship. We've done that. He then goes on to say about championships. We're going to win a championship here in the very near future. So first off, he talking about conference championships, correct? He said they've won a conference championship here.
That's what I took that to mean.
He's also said somewhere in there that he's won, other than Pitt, championships everywhere he's been, right?
Yeah, I believe that's how he stated it.
Yeah. I don't know that he's won championships at Tulsa or Arizona State. So that was, I don't know why that was thrown out there. I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize. So let's see. He talks about this being a young team. He talks about young guys being significant contributors. He talks about, go ahead, Chris.
The young guy portion of the conversation, which was very lengthy because he literally got to a point in some follow-up questions, talked about additional people at different positions. That got me thinking, and I'm Mr. Spreadsheet, Mr. Numbers, Mr. right there in front of me. Leading passers, Tommy Castellanos, and yes, there's an outside chance he comes back next year, but they need a waiver for that. He's got 11 touchdowns, 6 picks as a passing quarterback. He's also got 6 touchdowns as a runner, so 17 over 6. Is it good? Sure. Is it great? Definitely not. Your leading running backs, Gavin Sawchuk, not particularly young. Chroma, it's been almost dumbfounding the usage. 52 carries on the year, 300 yards, or 310 yards, no touchdowns. Danzy is a young guy who is really good. He's probably the best young guy who is really good that you can point to on the offense because Deuce is not young. Deuce has potential of going pro. Randy Pittman does have another potential year. He would throw LaWayne McCoy in there, who has 17 for 232 and 2 touchdowns. The entire O-line's gone. So, offensively, what are we talking about? 4 players?
Yeah, he also mentioned, you're talking about contributors. He mentioned.
I'm talking about guys that have been impactful difference makers. I think Javon Boggs is a good young player, but he doesn't fit into this conversation because he's been hurt and the production is 5 for 47 for a touchdown.
He mentioned Sam Singleton too, and he's
third-year guy. That's not, if that's still young. It's getting late early. He's going to be.
He mentioned
career next year,
and he clarified he was third year.
Doesn't he have 2 years left?
Yeah.
He's but no offense to Sam Singleton. I've enjoyed the come up here in the last couple of weeks for him, but that ain't gonna win you championships.
I'm in agreement with you, Chris, that this goes back to what are you building towards it being a year-to-year thing rather than a program thing. They have some nice young pieces on offense. Not enough for me to say you get the band back together no matter what.
Yeah, defensively, it's obviously the Desir twins and Juju Wynn lead the conversation over there. And Shamar would be a guy in the secondary who could throw in that mix.
Amari Williams, I guess.
Yeah, well. Amari could be another one. He's a second-year guy. That's fair. After that, I don't feel like there's a ton that you can point to. I know they like some of these young corners, but they've yet to make any form of an impact. And truthfully, young corners have been at times more of a detriment to the program than a benefit to the program, if we're being perfectly honest.
Yeah, one of them's currently serving a suspension. So, yeah, so that was one part of that there's young pieces in the future. I feel lukewarm about that sentiment. He talked about the 19-game winning streak and the rebuild that took place to get to that point. Say, quote unquote, we fixed it once, we're going to fix it again. We're in the process of that fix now. That, in hindsight, when he said it, I was like, okay, good on him for admitting that this is a process. And then I went back and thought about the words to end his 2024 campaign when he said it's going to be, okay, let me think about it, make sure, because I think I can remember it off the top of my head here. A immediate fast fix, I think is what he said. He used the words immediate and he used fast. And now the messaging is it's being fixed still. I would contend that this isn't an immediate fix then. And so you're behind schedule. Is that fair?
Yeah, I struggle to feel like it's getting fixed. Okay. I know they've won more games than last year. I'm not giving them roses for improving upon 2 wins. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. When they talk about it getting better and fans talk about it getting better, like don't lower the expectation. That's going back to this being unprecedented. Like don't allow the standard to be lower. That's
If
not
it was more
fair.
consistent week to week of what you see, and you felt like they were improving upon themselves week to week, that's a lot easier pill to swallow than what we're actually watching.
To that point, he later said and talked about this being a transitional phase of fixing it. Quote, we played as good as anybody in the United States of America at points in this year, and we've played as bad as probably anybody at times this year.
We'll always have Bama and we'll always have Stanford.
But this team is full of what I believe is very talented playmakers. I think it's full of very capable and talented coaches, and it's about our growth. The results, they matter. They absolute. The significant contributors. He ended the press conference by saying, again, talking about championship. The job is going, this job, I'm going to show up and do as I'm going to pour everything I have in this team with a championship expectation for us to grow and be better. Why can I say that? I've actually won a championship. I've done that. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it here. That might piss people off. So be it. They'll be celebrating when we are hoisting a trophy. It will be the belief I see from our players, the belief I see from our coaches, the talent that I know our players have, and the guys that are coming to be a part of this. I've got elite level confidence for what's ahead of us. I know not everybody wants to hear that. I don't care. I know what it's going to be, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have. I also understand that it has not been good enough. The results they matter, but we're going to take that step and we're going to get the job done.
I enjoyed the zeal, if I'm being honest. Like sitting there taking it in, having
That's
one
what
of
I
those
liked
moments,
too,
like,
Chris.
like
Yeah.
what's happening. Like I enjoyed it. Like it was a hell of a promo. But at the end of the day, I don't believe it.
What do you think, Zach? We haven't heard from you for a few minutes.
Yeah, I don't know how much stock to put into like any of what he says now, because it just feels like this is all forced upon us and the fan base, and honestly on him. Like this should be over, and I just feel like I didn't love the I liked him being confident in himself and kind of expressing that, he had the utmost belief in like his ability to turn things around.
Yeah.
Cool with that. But like we don't need to be going and making up championships or guaranteeing them. Like I feel like it's like not reading the room well.
Also, people don't want to think that you're chasing ACC championships, which is kind of what, again, that was how I interpreted that. And I know he's ultimate go. He knows that it's national champions, but that I don't want the bar to be lowered. I don't want that to seep into people and think that that's what you should be aiming for at Florida State. I'm not an alum like you guys are. I'm not a diehard fan. I didn't grow up going to games, but I respect the hell out of the program and grew up in the state of Florida. Just no, that's not. Do not fall for that, please.
I think it's just a necessary step along the way that if you do that, then you're in the college football playoff, which
Okay,
puts
that's
you in a
fine.
position to compete for what's next. I do agree with you that the ultimate aspiration, obviously, is a national championship. But when you're coming off a 2-win season and you're in the midst of a potential 500 or less type of season, then talking ACC championship
Well,
is sort of like where you're
the
at.
issue. That's the situation that we're in, and that's why it's untenable, and that's why, like, I feel like I'm constantly being gaslit. Zach, I feel like I'm being gaslit. I don't know what it is, but I feel like my gas has been lit constantly by this whole situation.
I will admit, though, like we've gone through the drudges of Monday press conferences now for about a month. Yesterday was actually enjoyable. Like I left that like that was fun. I don't know what the hell just happened, but it happened.
Chris said yesterday was drunk. It was
as a whole. The day kind of felt.
Yeah,
that
the whole
way.
day was.
Yes.
Yeah. He also talked about in that answer that I don't think it has anything to do with anything but navel gazing. I found it interesting. Him talking about media access and it was the first time he's talked about it. And it was basically to protect the players from outside opinions.
That one landed for Brendan. For me, not so much. I just was like, we got cut out. I kind of never.
I know that's how you feel about it. Well, he's unsolicited bringing it up 7 months later. So clearly there was some resonating done there. And I think the answer, though, was telling of it was a fragile group and is still a fragile group.
Yeah, I don't think it really work.
There were moments at the podium last week that gave that away too, for the record.
I mean, so I don't want to compare. We don't cover other programs. I think this is, in general, a program that's very, very aware of what's being said about it at all times. And I think top up, bottom down.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I think the players, especially this year on the team, that is a problem for them. Like, once kind of the negativity began to show up in the fan base following their first loss to Virginia, I do think that was an issue for them to kind of hone the players in on not consuming that stuff and not letting it affect them that much, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's affecting. We saw the Juice Cryer interview; like he admitted to it as much.
Yeah,
and we know that after the Alabama game, he also wanted to talk about what people were saying before. So there are leaders on this team who care a lot about what's being said about. And I'm sensitive. I live in a world where people are saying things positive and negative about us all the time. I get it's hard to isolate it, but it does impact. And I think that's something that Mike Norvell I found interesting, has tried to guard against. I don't know how successful it's been, but he's tried to do things to work. And I thought it was interesting for him to shed light on it. I also didn't think it mattered to wins or losses 7 months ago. I didn't think it mattered wins or losses 3 years ago. I don't think it matters to wins or losses now, whether there's people watching or not. I don't think it matters. What else do we want to talk about, guys? You want to talk about Mr. Ricard real quick?
Does Chris even know who that is?
No, so Chris, so a few weeks ago, the guy on Twitter, Ricard, who was saying that all the FSU beats should be fired. Well, we've lived that before, whatever. Turns out he taught Zach in high school.
He was a history teacher.
Damn, Zach, you must have been an awful student, buddy.
I was cool with him. Like, I knew he was an FSU
screwing it
fan.
up for the rest of us, bud.
I knew he was an FSU fan. We got along. Like, we would like DM over the years. Like, he told me like, oh, he brought his like kid to a game like a while ago. I was like, that's awesome.
So he knows that you cover.
Yeah, he fully aware. Like, we follow each other on Twitter.
And so he is in the recent, and so since then it's very clear he supports Mike Norvell no matter what, and that includes saying that players were throwing the game this past week because they were dropping the ball on purpose. So there was gambling stuff. Allegations there for Mr. Ricard.
You're making Zach's class.
My bit is anytime I see him in my DMs or Zach's or anyone like that we know, and it pops now, my algorithm is it's how Mr. Ricard watch. I go, Mr. Ricard, because I just think it's hilarious that there's a former teacher vying for Zach's demise.
Why does he have more loyalty to Mike Norvell than me?
This really bothers Zach. Yeah, it is. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have much more. Like,
anything else before we get out of here? I think we covered a lot of ground in a short period of time.
It's a big recruiting weekend.
Oh, no.
It is. It is.
Chris has got to get out of here.
No, let's do this. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, I wasn't. I was mostly. Are we going to do another show later this week?
Yeah, that's why I said let's not do this.
Yeah, so we'll touch on it.
Shocking that Chris wanted to jump ahead a whole episode. Shocking.
Well, I was trying to do 2-for-1, get the rest of the week off.
Chris, real quick, hoops. Let's talk about hoops because they're
they go to UF tonight. UF, I think, landed at 9 or 10 in the updated AP Top 25. UF's a good team. They lost to Arizona. I think that game was played in Vegas. Zona's really good. Watching that game, I came away still thinking that UF team is, Sweet 16, Elite 8 level type team, one of the better teams in the SEC. And I think Bama's really good in the SEC too, personally, after watching them in person. So big litmus test tonight. You're going into UF. It's going to be a packed house, not an easy place to play when it's filled up. And they're going to really test you. It's going to be fun. I'm interested to see how FSU shoots it on the road in a different gym. I know people think shooting travels, but sometimes sight lines and stuff kind of mess with a team. It will be interesting in that regard how they do. But this is what Luke wanted when he got hired in March. He said he was going to play really good teams. He tried to schedule every team that made the Final Four last year. He only got 3 of the 4 on the schedule, but he was intentional with it. So it should be fun.
Do we have 5 minutes to do some quick buyer Sonnones?
Sure.
All right. Buyer Sonnones, sponsored by
the Turner Group.
This is from Josh Newberg 1. I don't think it's the Josh Newberg. FSU and VT is the James Franklin Bowl.
Sonone.
Sonone.
Buyer Sonone, sponsored by
The Turner Group.
This is from Jake Motu, the future of FSU football.
I think I'll always buy it. Still a brand that should have bounce back. I just don't know how fast it happens.
Buy.
All right, this is from R. Castro PTYCO. I think I got it correct for once. Buyer Sonone, sponsored by the Turner Group. Should I still care? He says the fan in me can't let go, but the results just kick you in the nuts on Saturdays. Yeah, man, I get that. I don't want to tell people whether to care or not.
I buy, yes, you should care, but like, don't let the wins and the losses ruin your day and your week. My wife's going to listen to this and tell me I should listen to my own advice.
Bobby Bowdenball, Buyer Sonone. Even if FSU retains Norvell, Malzahn is gone after this year.
For now, I'm Sononing that. I haven't definitively heard anything about changes with either coordinator. I mean, I know Gus has had a personal matter that he's had to attend to here in recent weeks regarding an older family member. But like, I think Gus will retire if he's ready to retire. Because
I don't think he's going to get fired or.
Yeah.
No, I think he would just move on.
Yeah, that's.
But I haven't heard that he plans to do that either.
Buyer Sonone, brought to you by
the Turner Group.
From Big Buford Knoll, the FSU admin knows what they're doing.
I'm going with a buy because I talked to folks over there enough that I feel comfortable that yes, they do.
They seem to have a general plan.
Yeah. I know it's tough for people to swallow because we're wallowing through mediocrity to straight up pain and badness on a week-to-week basis currently. And everybody wants satisfaction as fast as possible. But the thing for them is like they got to get it right. Everything they do going forward, presuming they do make a move and they do have to make a hire, they have to get that all right. Because if they don't, they'll lose their jobs. But I think they understand that. I think they're smart enough people that know how this business is operated as a whole.
Last one. Okay, thanks. Soft Sonone or hard Sonone?
Soft Sonone. It's not.
It's not very. Yeah. Okay. JJH10, does FSU, this isn't a Buyer Sonone, sorry, Colin. Does FSU have to move on from Mike Norvell at the end of the season to prove it's still a blue blood football program on par with Florida or Penn State?
Yes. I think it's a buy for me. I think they're at the point where it's a necessity that the program moves into its next era, and whoever the head coach is needs to be the correct hire. And the truth is, like, FSU, it's not just dismissing Mike Norvell and hiring somebody else. Like, FSU football needs to approach the idea of getting back to what it's supposed to be, and it really hasn't been that very much in the last decade at all, outside of a decent come up in 22 and obviously a successful season in 23.
And that's one area where I do have a level of like sympathy for the administration. It's like you thought you had that, and that's why you made the investment that you did.
Yeah.
It's supposed to assure you, even if it wasn't 13 wins, it was supposed to assure you of a baseline of like, oh, you got to figure it out now.
Hindsight is the length of it is a killer, and the fact that it went belly up within the first 12 months is horrendous, and it's terrible timing.
Technically, it went belly up like in Ireland. In hindsight, I mean, within the first.
A lot of people have gone belly up in Ireland.
All right, for Chris Nee, Zach Blossing, I'm Brendan Sonone. This has been On the Bench. Thank you to our sponsors, the Turner Group, as well as Chattanooga Whiskey. Thank you to everyone for listening, our subscribers at Knowles 24/7. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.